the shift in what our society does as far as purchasing habits and everything, if we don't think this is going to have a huge impact and change people of what they do tomorrow versus what they did yesterday, um, businesses are going to miss out because they're not ready for that. As they're going through this, the questions they need to be asking is, what did we see happen right now? What do we think is real, being that it's real and it's going to extend? And how are we going to change our business and our model and what we look at when this is over? The ones who do that right, when this thing calms down, those are the ones who are going to better shift into that, what tomorrow's going to be. The ones who delay and are sitting back there going, I can't wait for this to be over with so things will get back to normal, they're in for a rude awakening.
In this episode of eCommerce Deep Dive, I speak with Dave Juron. He's an expert in all things e-commerce and grocery. He's the director of e-commerce for Dietz and Watson. We talk coronavirus impact. We talk sales, trade marketing, how omni-channel's working, how consumers are responding to fresh, prime now, click and collect. There's a lot of content here. I got a lot of value and learned a lot from Dave. I think you're really going to enjoy it. Hi, everyone. John Giorso here. Thanks for joining another episode of eCommerce Deep Dive. Today, I have Dave Juron, e-commerce director for Dietz and Watson. Dave is an e-commerce veteran of the perishable space, has a tremendous amount of insight into both of those domains. So excited to have him on. Dave, thanks for joining.
Thanks, John. Thanks for making me a part of this.
Yeah, absolutely. Excited to get into it. Just so everyone's aware, we're recording this on April 2nd. So as a country, we're 2 or 3 weeks into the throes of the coronavirus disruption. It's obviously impacted everyone's daily lives as well as the retail industry as a whole. You know, from your perspective, Dave, what have been some of the biggest changes to Amazon, to e-commerce, just to the categories that you're familiar with?
Oh, that's that's a loaded question across. Is the big it's the biggest thing when you look at it is what customers' trends are, what they're willing to do, and what they're to do to, get the food on their table. The shoppers who weren't shopping online, their first impact was to get up and run to the grocery stores and grab everything they possibly could off the shelf.
Yep.
Then their next step was to look going, okay, whatever was missing, where can I go online? And where we walk away from for the positives for the e-commerce piece on that is that, especially in my world where I live is on the perishable side, is was always something that you sat there and said consumers are comfortable of shopping more of the standard non-perishable CPG. Order a can of tuna fish, I'm fine. When it comes, it's the same on the shelf or is there.
Sure.
It's the perishable side that the customer's always gone, do I feel comfortable here? Not that they're not even going down, they didn't even go down the road to try it. They just chose because in the back of their mind said it always has to be done unperishable. And now what you're seeing is in the world of today, they're going, well, I guess I don't have much choice, or I'm nervous about that. So I'm going to pass on the store and then I'm going to try ordering online. How bad could it be? And now they're getting it. And when you get the worlds of the Amazon and some of the other ones out there who do it really good, and they're getting the product and having it home and they're going, geez, this is just as good, or in some
Yeah.
cases better than the retail stores, that I'm fine with this. And now they're buying it as a regular. So, and as the longer we have to go through this process, and we're dealing through the COVID-19 situation, and the more they do that, the more comfortable they're going to get. And so, when the dust settles after this, I think the impacts you're going to see on the people who are buying there every single day right now and continue is going to grow.
Yeah.
It's gonna stand out. If I were to look at numbers and based on what I see from my perspective, is that consumer who before was shopped, 4 times a month, once a week, and bought all their perishables there, and now they're buying all their perishables online. When the dust settles, it's going to be 50-50. That there's people still want to go to the grocery store. They still want to walk through there. But so they want every once in a while they want to go in and touch and feel and what new do they see when they didn't before. But then the other shopping time is they're going to get it online at home because they're comfortable and they're safe, especially when those time comes that, oh, I forgot something and the convenience factor fits in. They're going to be willing to buy on a wider scale of products because they became comfortable through the insanity.
Yeah, interesting. So, this is a conversation I know we've had before, but grocery is a different animal than most of the other categories online because you're buying so many different things and you're buying them oftentimes over and over and over again that it makes less sense to split up your purchase. If you're going to have to go to the grocery store every week anyway, why do you buy 7 of those items online and then you buy 13 of them at the grocery store instead of just buying all 20 at the grocery store? It's actually more convenient to do that than the former. But it sounds like you're thinking that maybe the where kind of consumer behavior for a lot of people shakes out is the kind of replenishment purchases are happening online and more of the discovery is happening in store. Is that a tr- do you agree with that as kind of a
Yes.
general framework?
Yeah, yeah, and I yes, because you can only, if that comparison. Okay, so you're going to go buy a TV online. Everybody has a TV in their house. Everybody's got some form of a screen in their house. They can pick up their box that they bought it in. They can see what all the technical points of it, and they go, okay, I know what I like, what about my TV I have, and I know what I don't like. Then they go online and go, all right, now here's a bigger TV or a higher end TV, and they can start reading the specs and they go, yes, no, what it is. They're even doing places right now where you can test and have that TV compare TVs online of how they view and what the screen would look like, and you can make a comparison.
Sure.
When you look at the world of food and somebody comes out with something new, or there's a new produce, or you want to try something other than a picture of it online, there's nothing out there to give you that detail. And when it comes to food, especially anything fresh, people, even when they buy it online, their still number one factor that goes by is touching it, smelling it, and tasting it. So they're
Hmm.
always going to look for that. So when it comes to something new, that's still going to be a driver, especially even more so when it comes to something in the world of fresh.
Yeah, interesting. So basically you think then a lot of the behavior that people pick up and they're forced into this, let's be honest, because of this social distancing thing right now, but you think a lot of that that's maintained will be more of that kind of replenishment purchase, just that people are going to maybe expand the products they're willing to purchase online in that kind of replenishment mode.
Yep. Yes.
Okay.
And
Interesting.
we're seeing that now. You know, actually, what's in a lot of cases we've been seeing that on a slower ramp. Even in the world of Amazon, we saw it in business happening in November when they released the free membership for to Prime Now customers to the people of Fresh. So all of a sudden, people had
Sure.
this more of an impact. So there were, you know, since it was free for them, there was more and more people going down that road, and we saw an immediate influx in our business.
Yeah.
And not only did we see the new people coming, but then what we saw is, for every new person that hit the site, how many people stayed and reshopped.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
percentage was even higher than normal because again, it was back to that point that people who are true Prime Now supporters but never went down the fresh road, they were going, okay, um, I'll give this a try because I trust Prime Now and give it a whirl. What the heck?
Sure.
And then they went, this is good, and now it kept expanding. That was step one where we saw before, and the retention was staying. Well, today's world, the past 3 or 4 weeks, it's changed because in a lot of ways, people didn't have a choice. So
Yeah,
they
sure.
had to do this if they were going to have food on their table for whether it be for health concerns, time concerns with now mom's home because the kids are home from school and it's not there, and or concern, or they don't want to bring their kids into the stores because of the contact with other people and stuff. So they were forced into this, and there were, there were concerns coming in from people going, all right, what are we going to get? But I guess it really doesn't matter. I have to feed my family. So it is what it is.
Yeah.
And then a week later, they're going, this isn't bad, you know?
Yeah.
And then when they
Yeah.
order the second time, they're reordering the same stuff they did and or trying other stuff. So they're pushing that. that test and that taste process on things they would buy in the grocery store, and they're going, okay, you know, you look at it, chicken breast. Well, how bad can you kill chicken breast if you sell it online? If you get it delivered to your home. But now they're looking at, all right, well, how about this flavor profile, or how about that, or, I've seen it in the stores, and I liked how it looked in the stores. So they're starting off with the basics because they want food on their table, and as they go through each week, their assortment is expanding because they are having the ability to build their trust in the process because of no choice other than that was the only choice they have, and now they're getting comfortable with it, and the orders are going bigger and bigger. And I will tell you, I mean, just on our side alone, without going into numbers, the past 4 weeks have been off the charts crazy,
Yeah.
what our
Yeah.
volumes are.
Yeah.
Um, and I truly think it's even more. I think the biggest challenge, and we all know, and I've seen that in your notes similar too, is with Amazon is I don't even think they've scratched the surface of what this could be, because literally they don't have the people or the capabilities or the capacity, whether it be manpower or a line of sorts or lane choices and stuff yet, to truly handle the volume that they're experiencing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Well, I mean, what is online? What is e-commerce in the grocery category right now? It's like 1 or 2%, isn't it? So, I mean, if that goes even to 20%, you're talking
uh,
about a 10x in volume, which
yeah,
is in for any infrastructure, a 10x increase in volume is very, very difficult to deal with.
oh yeah. I mean, if through all this stuff, meetings, different stuff and sessions and things that you and I have been at, even with Williams program and sessions that he's had, is the reports and the analytics. If you asked everybody 6 to 9 months ago, that they were saying by the year 2023, the online sales purchases are going to equate to somewhere between 26 and 27% of all grocery purchases.
Okay.
But what does that fall within there? So first, everybody goes, "Oh, your business has a chance to grow by 27%." Because of that. And it's like going, no, that's not what was said. What was said was that 27% of the business is going to shift to there, which
Yeah.
means it's your choice as a retailer or anybody, to maintain your 27% or lose 27% based on what you're willing to do, or how you're going to execute against that. Now, out of that 27%, again, this was by 2023, out of
Sure.
that 27%, 8% of it was expected to go to home deliveries, and the remaining of it was shop online but pick up at the store.
Yep.
um so where that shift is, ergo, that's one of the main reasons on my perspective is why we looking at Amazon wanting aggressively to go after some form of the retail, because they have the people who shop online, they have that trust in them, and especially the long-term shoppers, they trust it, they know what they're going to get. But when you start looking at that 26-27% of the number, the one thing Amazon is missing was that 17 to 18% or more, that is going to be the person picking up at the store, because the consumers, they want to trust that banner. So the retailer who has a good online program, the brick and mortar retailer, they're going to get the customer, they're going to buy online, but they also know, they see that banner out in front, and they can get in their car and drive to that banner down the road and walk through the store and see the stuff and see what they're purchasing and see new things, and then go back home and buy it online. Amazon didn't have that. So, ergo, I think that has a lot of impact. Not only be able to gain some of that business, but also they're trying to make sure they can be a part of that full 25 to 27%, not just the 8% that's going to be delivered at home.
Got
Um,
it. So
with
you
that,
so basically you think physical retail still needs to be an important part of Amazon or any e-commerce player's strategy
yeah,
in grocery because of this kind of omni-channel click and collect concept that really seems to be genuinely resonating with customers. I mean, I think I used to be maybe cynical and I thought, well, they're just doing that because they have to justify the fact that they have a bunch of stores. They meaning, Target, Walmart, Kroger, whoever. But it seems like, it- you know, in maybe an ideal world, actually, this still plays a very important role. Customers genuinely find it easier to stop by on their way home from work, have the product thrown into their trunk, and keep going versus having to set a delivery time and wait around their house for it. Did Is
Yep.
that kind of how
Yep.
you see it?
Yeah, exactly for that part. And then, you know, the one thing, when I think when they originally made this analysis, and I said it was to be 23, and we'll talk about what that timeline changes in a
Sure.
second here. Um, as far as for people to shop and what percentages, something you're learning because of what we're going through in the past 4 weeks is that it's just as much as the shopping is for the consumer, it is still a social event as well. Getting out, going
Huh.
to the store, whether it just be the shopping piece, but seeing other people, seeing. I know we shop at stores here. I mean, I'm in the stores a lot, so I know them. I mean, but there's nothing like walking through a store and running across your neighbor and you're out in the world, or running into your neighbor's son who's out there and goes, "Hey, Mr. J, what's going on? Can I tell you what happened over the weekend or what I've done?" It's a social event. Yeah, there are other people right now. They're sitting going, I can't do that right now. My goal is to run into the store, grab what I need, and get out
Yeah.
for my own safety factor.
Sure.
But when it alleviates and it relaxes a little bit, there is that social aspect. How many people do you see if you go into a store, especially in your fresh department? You walk down the produce aisle, you walk down the meat aisle, and they're in there talking to the head meat cutter who comes out. They ask a question, they talk to him. The meat cutter goes out and goes, "Hey, Mary Smith, how are you doing?" Because that's part of their life. Um,
Interesting.
when you take that, so now they get the ability, if they can find it right online, they can get the ability to of the convenience whenever they want it or need it, but then they also still have that social aspect. And when they go into the store and Mary Smith runs into the produce guy or the deli guy or the seafood guy and goes, "Hey, we got this in here," or something new in, the people's job in the store is to sell to the consumer. So they're going to do that. And then that person's going to be able to go home going, "Ooh, now I can order that online too." They go looking for that as well. So consumers really want that social interaction.
Hmm.
And now that they're denied so much stuff, and then when we come all out of this, everybody's there. It's going to take a long time for people to relax to some of those levels of that, that social
Yeah.
aspect and that social distancing. And the grocery store is still one place you can walk in there and go up to the deli, and the deli person on the other side of the counter is still 6 to 8 feet away from you, but you can talk to that person, or the produce person is there, and you're getting that social aspect with something you do and like. That's one
So,
aspect. Oh,
so
go ahead.
the 2023 number then, I mean, does it feel like maybe we're getting to 2023 in about 2 months here in
um
terms of acceleration?
Maybe not that quick, but, I wouldn't. I mean, you're not gonna get there that quick for a couple reasons, but I do think the truer number, you could see it getting to that point closer to the end of 2021. And the
Got
reason
it.
why I say that is because if everything was calm and normal, and as this business grew, it by 2023 would be a number, and everybody's going, now you can come back and go, "Yeah, but everybody's ordering everything online, so it could happen quicker." The challenge right now is Amazons of the world and the people who do this for a living, and it's their primary source of it, they can gauge and get there quicker. The challenges we're seeing is on the brick and mortar retailer, because all of a sudden they're getting hit so hard at with their online, because people don't want to, that their infrastructure isn't set up for this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Some simple examples is you go, customer goes on, there is a brick and mortar retailer does a home delivery process. Okay, so you're going to go on, you're going to order. I'm going to order my 100 items, and then it goes into the retailer's system. Sisters, they pop out the order, and 30 minutes later, by the time, depends on how many orders have, within 30 to an hour, you're hoping that their little shopper is going to run out and start picking the order. Well, now with what the insanities happen at that store, that person's going to shop the order, and out of those 100 items, they're only filling the basket with 25 or 30 of
Yeah.
them, because everything else is out of stock. Um, so retailers now, there's some retailers out there, they're going, some of them are shutting them off completely because they're the out of stocks that they're running are so high. There's still a flat delivery to deliver the order,
Yep.
and people are getting a bad taste in their mouth. There was actually a report that um, came out from a retailer who had a home delivery, and a customer was upset because they're not prepared for this. Person ordered 42 items on their order. There was a delivery fee to have it delivered to their home. The order came to their home. They were delivered the full delivery fee, and the only thing in the basket that was in stock was a pint of half and half.
Oh God.
So
Yeah, that's a
and
pretty
everybody
horrible
did everything they
experience.
thought should be. Now the retailer quickly
Sure.
refunded it. It was,
I'm
but they
sure.
just weren't prepared
Yeah.
for that. Who thought that would have happened? So
Yeah.
it's going to take them that amount of time just to gear it up. I shared the information with you the other day as far as a couple retailers out there because of something like this. They're actually taking if they have two or three stores in a town. They're shutting one door, no, leaving two open to the consumer, and one they're converting into solely for click and pick to help prevent that. That way, they know what's in the store. The orders come in, they can monitor just like an Amazon would, and they know we have 100 units in the store. So when 95 are ordered, we start turning it off online because we're going to run out of stock. Um,
Yeah.
so I think you're gonna see more and more of that of the short term. You're gonna see if there's the big store that has bigger store, wider space aisles, that's the store that's gonna stay open. If the retailer has in a town, but then on the other side of town, they have the store that's a little bit older, not as big, little tighter and constraints in the aisles. That's the store they're going to shut off from retail, and they're going to flip it to a click and pick because the only social spacing they need to worry about is their own people in the store picking orders.
Yep.
um, and so and using that basically in all essence is similar to what would be an Amazon FC for a pick. I think you're going to see testing on that. You're going to see more and more of that happening. And the faster that happens, the faster they can get better service levels on that due to just sheer immensity and impact of what we're going through.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
faster you're going to get to that number happening by end of 2021.
Yeah, that's so interesting. I mean, I think about my own shopping behavior, and I'm a like pretty much strictly e-commerce, mostly Amazon, obviously guy. Like I don't go to stores. It's not a fun thing for me. The more I can avoid them, the better. That's obviously I know that's just not the whole country. That's just me personally. But the irony in this whole situation is that I've been going to the grocery store now much more than I typically would because Amazon Fresh, Instacart, other services now have like 5 day, 6 day wait times, and half the stuff is out of stock. So it's funny that this massive kind of overburdening of these e-commerce networks, in some cases, has actually created kind of a disincentive to use them. But I do think that's probably at least for the big guys, Amazon, Instacart, um, probably a fairly short-term thing as they just kind of scramble to catch up with it. I'm curious, even outside of this coronavirus impact, obviously Amazon has been doing a lot in physical retail and testing different formats. And obviously there's the Go Tech, there's Whole Foods, there's the new grocery stores that have been announced, I think down in LA, one or two locations. A lot of different things going on. you know Obviously don't need specifics, but just long term, what's your view on physical retail and Amazon's kind of view? Is it a niche thing for them? Is it a side project, or do you think it becomes really a critical part of their entire strategy at some point?
Um, e- each one I think anytime anything tied to food and even before let me rephrase this. If you go back to before the COVID situation happened, all these aspects of things they were launching, especially on anything tied to CPG and food and everyday needs of the consumer, I think they're all going to be very impactful in their own different ways. They came out with the Go stores. What was it, 2 years ago when they first started going, and we're going to have 3,000 stores in a year, and they found out, yeah, that wasn't happening,
Yeah.
and to what and where it's going to be. But you have to look at when I look at those models, what do I see? So when I see the regular standard Go store, I see a replacement to a convenience store. You're going to pick up a product, and it's expected that you're going to consume whatever you pick up for food product in that. 85% of whatever is purchased there is going to be consumed within 30 minutes. It's
Yep.
that grab and go. It's that convenience store pickup. You know, and those are all going to be driven around, higher metropolis areas.
Sure.
No cashier, nowhere, in and out. I got a short amount of time. The larger format of Go, the Big Go store in Capitol Hill, that one's a little different. It's a little bit, it's 2.5 times the size of a standard Go store, maybe even a little bit more. I think that one's just shy under 10,000 square feet. Little bit bigger assortment, but none of the service pieces. So that's their goal or expectation on that is that's going to be the store that people are going to go and shop, and it's not for consume within 30 minutes because people they want people to be buy more, but it's for consumption that night or when they get
Yep.
home. So when are you going to be gearing those time? When's shopper going to be shopping there? If that's what your aspect is, then you need to be prepared to be in business starting at 3:30, 4 o'clock in the afternoon when the person who might have grabbed the sandwich at lunchtime from the little Go store on one corner now is going to the bigger Go on the other corner to pick up what they need for dinner that night or breakfast the next morning. So again, it's the bigger Go. It's still going to. I'll be curious to see where that one shakes out. I think there's an
Yeah.
opportunity in metro areas, but I don't think there's an opportunity that when you get into more rural or areas because people still want to have that time to go in. They want that social aspect. That's those two. Now you flip and you talk about the store that opened up in Woodland Hills. I think they did open up last week, but it's for online purchase only, and I believe it was by invite for a soft open is what they're doing. um,
Okay.
but that grocery store impact there, that is going to be driven, that's real. I truly believe on that based on what I said before about the consumers wanting to have that banner on the outside of a building as much as the one on their screen that they look in online. They're going to want to see have that store out there, and for Amazon to capture that 17 to 18% of it, they don't have a choice. They need to be in that business, or they're what it's going to take them and how much it's going to cost to convert the original 8% to online delivery and increase it to 9 or 10% is will be a challenge no matter how long it takes, because there's still that person who wants to shop in the store a percentage of the time. So
So, Dave, does the Woodland Hills location, does it have a click and collect offering as well?
yep.
There is it also okay? So it's a physical store that you can walk into. It's also a click and collect location. Are they using the Go tech in that
Nope.
one?
Nope.
Okay,
No,
interesting.
it's
So it's just otherwise kind of a normal standard grocery store with an
Yeah,
Amazon logo.
you're gonna have your full service. There's a full service deli in there, meat
Okay,
department, seafood department. So it's because you think about it, anytime you're ordering anything fresh or by the pound or stuff, the tech doesn't. That's
it
why you don't
doesn't
find
work.
any to go. It doesn't
Sure,
work.
sure.
And
Yeah,
even on retail packaging, there's some items that Amazon would like to carry, but their tech isn't there yet. So
yep,
they just can't because of it. Um,
yep,
so yeah, so my expectations is on my side is that once the first store opens and it's on full launch and consumers are into it. And I believe right now, I don't think it's the doors are open to the public because all this just took place last week. So I think they're testing it out. They're opening it only for click and collect right now.
got it.
They're use I think it's actually, I think for them it'll work out because it gives them on a lower impact, since this is their first grocery store, to get a chance to have orders come in that are click and collect, but be dealing with the orders and not as much as the consumer. So they get a chance, especially those full service, the deli counter, the bakery, the meat, to be able to um, process that, train their people, figure out maybe some bugs that might be in the system and get better at
Sure.
that. So when it comes back and they're going, we're good on this, we're going to open the door. s- A good bunch of those things that any new somebody who starts a brand new business runs into it, they were going to have figured it out on a smaller level. So then when it releases and the store opens, it's all right. we got not 50% of them out of the way. Now there's only other 50%
Yeah.
we have to
Yeah.
learn about.
Sure.
That's the impacts when the customer walks through the door and tries to go through the register.
So the Woodland Hills location, and I'm assuming if there's one, there's going to be more.
Mhm.
This one, I honestly, I just can't figure out because what is the purpose, in your opinion, of doing this outside of the Whole Foods brand? Because it seems just almost entirely redundant to a Whole Foods.
No,
Is
it's
it
too
is it just the level of merchandise? Is it
it's
the way they're approaching it? Is it?
it's too
Go ahead.
it's two completely different consumers, John. It's
Got it.
the
Okay.
the, the Whole Foods is the natural that side of it. Process, not process was wrong, I used the wrong word there. It's just the products that are in there, they're that all natural whole. They're
Yep.
that the Whole Foods competes with the Sprouts and the Trader
Sure.
Joe's and
Sure.
where they are, where this Amazon, the Woodland Hills, that's just standard grocery
It's a
store. That's
Safeway. It's a QFC. It's
Yep,
just your standard. Okay.
it's your
Got it.
standard grocery store. So it's two different consumer. The consumer who shops in, the Safeway store every single week,
Yep.
that there's a very small percentage of those who go into a Whole Foods.
Got it.
Then
Got
you
it.
get that Whole Foods consumer who does, who's a Whole Food shopper. That's where they live and die with. You will
Sure.
never see them walk into a
Yeah.
Safeway.
Yeah. Yeah. That makes sense. That makes sense. So really, it's just kind of hit all these different kind of consumer segments. Yeah. Interesting. Very good. Anything else? I know there's been, I feel like we've lived through 3 years worth of changes to consumer behavior and, all kinds of bizarre dynamics going on because of this social distancing and other, coronavirus impacts. But, in the world of e-commerce, anything else that's just really like surprised you or top of mind right now?
Um, I think the biggest thing when I look at the e-commerce world is, we've talked about the consumers' shopping habits. But tied to that is, I look at based on their shopping habits, what do you look at the impacts going to have in their lifestyle as a whole? What they're, I think between the e-commerce piece, how it impacts us, but what's also happening right now, if anybody isn't thinking about this, within 3 months or so, when this whole process is over with and done with, that the shift in what our society does as far as purchasing habits and everything, if we don't think this is going to have a huge impact and change people of what they do tomorrow versus what they did yesterday, um, businesses are going to miss out because they're not
Yeah.
ready for that.
Yeah.
You know, so you have the questions that need to be asked right now on that. And I think when I look at the dynamics of the e-commerce piece during the brick and mortar and a lot of stuff we talked about today is the man the manufacturer, the retailer, or the online only provider. You know, as they're going through this, the questions they need to be asking is, what did we see happen right now? What do we think is real based on what happened right now, being that it's real and it's going to extend, and
Yeah.
what things were emergency actions, and how are we going to change our business and our model and what we look at when this is over? The ones who do that right and understand where the consumers is when this thing calms down, those are the ones who are going to better shift into that what tomorrow's going to be. The ones who delay and are sitting back there going, I can't wait for this to be over with so things will get back to normal, they're in for a
Yeah.
rude awakening.
Yeah.
And they're the ones who are going to be losing on that 27% that switches to online. They're the ones who aren't going to have the right products in the place. They're not going to be the ones reaching out and connecting with, you know, we always thought that, the millennial shopper is the e-commerce shopper because they don't want to cook. They don't want to do any of those things. Well, guess what? They're learning how to do that right now because they have no choice. They're the
Yeah.
ones calling up mom and going, "Ma, remember that thing you used to make me when I was a little kid
Sure.
and I loved? Can you shoot me that? Because I got to." And so those people are going to change their lives. So that's, as anything that happens between both brick and mortar, but the e-commerce world is, people need to ask themselves, as a person, as a business, where are you, where do you think that's going to fall tomorrow? And where do you want to be as a shopper? And the manufacturers and the providers need to know, do we know where they want to be? And everybody's going to second guess it, but the ones who are making adjustments and changes right now to help out today, they're the ones who are going to learn. The ones who are going, there's manufacturers and vendors out there who are dropping items off, who are saying, sorry, we can't produce for this or that. Um, they're the ones that are waiting for things to get back to normal, which will never happen.
Yeah, that's great insight, long-term thinking, which I love. Dave, this has been absolutely tremendous. Thank you so much for being on.
My pleasure, sir, as always.
This has been a great conversation with Dave Juron from Dietz and Watson. Thanks to Dave for his perspective, and thanks to all the listeners for tuning in. Be sure to subscribe to eCommerce Deep Dive on your favorite podcast app and YouTube channel so that you never miss a new episode. Thanks again, and I'll talk to you soon.